What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and in today's video, that's right, it is finally time. We are going to be pulling for SS King in today's video. Not only that, but we are completely all in. That means that we are going for the A5 and nothing else. We will not end this video until King is at Awakening level 5. However many rubies that takes is exactly what it's going to take. So that is what we're going to be doing today. But before we get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys are new here that you smash that like button and subscribe, because we are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are getting ever so close. So definitely help us out in that capacity, and let's go ahead and get into the video. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the cards today. Figure that I will go ahead and start here because it's just as good a place as any. I am going to stop once I get King and Yuri's finishers. I would like to have the option, the set, so on and so forth. But in my opinion, I do want to budget at least as much as possible until after I have pulled the characters, and then we'll go from there. Now, before we get into the actual pulls though, I did go ahead and save up a ton of these memories for the yellow characters, just so that way maybe I'll get lucky and maybe get a king memory this way. So I figured I'd throw this in here too. As you guys can see, I've got a ton of these generic golds, so let's see if we get lucky. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I've gotten lucky with these in the past, so hey, you never know, right? Until you try. So let's go ahead and get a few more of these in here. I don't really need these. She's at A5 now, so that's fine. All right, let's see what happens, guys.
Denied.
No. Yeah, all right, well, whatever. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and start pulling here on the cards. So like I said, we need both finishers for both of these characters, because even though we are going for King, we are going to end up with Yuri's by proxy. So we definitely need her finisher. We're going to probably go to Pity here, more than likely once, hopefully, and then that way I will have everything I need, meaning I have both finishers, and then we can go ahead and just jump over to the fighters for the rest of the video, because I do not see a situation in which I'm going to be going for the set, nor am I going to be going very hard for any of the rest of this stuff. So hey, that's a good start. Let's see if we get it right here. As long as it's one of the finishers or the option, I will be happy. I mean, it has to be one of those things, right? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So we got Yuri's finisher. That's not bad. Like I said, we're going to end up with plenty of Yuri's, so we'll take what we can get. And again, I really don't care about the set. The set is not something I feel like I am really in a pressing need for, so likely what I'm going to do is just get the finishers, dip out, save as much as I can, because I want to ensure that I have as much as humanly possible for King. Right now, I'm pretty sure that if I have things mathed out correctly, that I could potentially, if I need to, go to Pity 4 times on the fighters, which I will gladly do. I will spend down to 0 for Awakening level 5 King if I need to. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably watching this channel for the first time that are wondering, what the hell are you thinking? What are you doing? So let me kind of give it to you guys the way that I have told people for the past year of doing this channel. And I'll give you guys a bit of a history lesson, because I've actually had quite a few people request that I talk about why King is my favorite character in the King of Fighters All-Star. They've requested for me to kind of explain my history with the character, because I've spoken about her almost on a daily or weekly basis for a year now here having this channel. So I'll kind of get into the, oh, okay, well, I don't really care, I don't really need it, but I will take it for that juicy card art. So let's see which one it is. All right, nice. I think that's the second one. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna check. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's part 2. Okay, I thought so. So I'm gonna give a bit of a history lesson today on my kind of history with the King of Fighters as a result of this as well, because a lot of people have been asking me about my history with King, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that in this video today. So if you guys have been with the channel since the beginning, I have told this story before. So I'm gonna try and throw a few more details in there than I have in the past, so that way it at least is a little bit different for those of you who have been sticking around here for the past year, which if you have been here since the beginning, if you're an OG subscriber, shout out to you. I appreciate all the love and support the past year. This is the moment I have been waiting for since I downloaded this game, and you guys have no idea how thankful I am and how happy I am with this update to be able to be doing this right now. Like, I feel like, I was thinking about this earlier, I feel like once this video's over, once I've spent all these rubies, done whatever it is that I do in this video, I feel, oh, okay. Let's see what we get. Come on, King. Come on. Ah, okay. Well, whatever. I don't need 2 of those, but I'll take it. So, long and the short of it is, though, guys, like, it's been almost a year now. We'll be at our year anniversary in December, so thank you all so much for the support. But when it comes to my history with King, let's talk about it. So it really started for me and my little brother, believe it or not. So, you know, I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. We're all boys, and my little brother and I were both very, very much so into fighting games as kids. Now, he was... Oh, okay, nice. Come on.
Come on, baby.
All right. Let's freaking go. Yes. Okay. We can dip. We're dipping. We're done. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, we didn't have to go to pity. That's great. It's always hard to tell stories in these pool videos because then you get distracted. So yeah, it really starts with my little brother, which big shout out to him. He does play this game as well, and he plays it at a very high level. In fact, I would say his account is fairly close to mine, believe it or not, and he does it all free to play. So he is very, very patient. But when it comes to our history, or my history with the King of Fighters, when I was very young, and we're talking probably about 11, 12 years old, somewhere in that area, maybe around 13, it was somewhere in that kind of age range. When I was very young, my brother and I, we frequented arcades quite a bit, and the reason why we did is because back then, and yes, I am dating myself a little bit because I'm old, let's face it, I'm 33 years old, so, but me and my brother, we would go to arcades constantly on Friday and Saturday nights, mainly because back then, and for those of you who are of a younger denomination, you may not have any frame of reference for this, but back in the day, back in my day, the shopping malls used to be extremely popular, especially on Friday nights. So if you were a preteen or a teenager, the old joke was it was basically like preteen daycare, where basically the parents would either drop the kids off at the mall, or the parents would go to the mall with the kids and they would go shopping while the kids just ran around and had fun, whatever. And my parents did the same things with us on Friday nights and sometimes on Saturdays. But on Friday nights, the reason why we would always want to go is because there was an arcade at the mall. At the time, there was a chain of arcades called Tilt. And basically, we would go in there and we would play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Capcom vs. SNK, which then spiraled into Capcom vs. SNK 2 once they had gotten that cab. And so basically on Friday nights, you would go in, and the atmosphere nowadays I can't really speak to because there's not a lot of arcades around. But the atmosphere back then was pretty amazing because you would go in on Friday nights and there would be dozens of people just gathered around these cabinets, you know, whether it was Tekken, which I think at the time it might have been Tekken 4, or Marvel vs. Capcom 1 or 2, any of these really popular fighting games, and there would just be dozens of people gathered around talking. And at the time, the way that people would do things, because we didn't have organized tournaments, basically what would happen is we would kind of organize tournaments for ourselves, and we would put tokens on top of the cabinet in front of players to kind of signify who was next, and so on and so forth. And we basically organized it all ourselves. Now, of course, the employees there, they had no problem with it. It brought in a ton of revenue for them, so they didn't really care. And honestly, it was the highlight of our weeks. So we would go in, and the first game that we really got hooked on was Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I believe. That was kind of the start of it. But then once we got into Capcom vs. SNK, that was kind of the game that took us. It was the one that we really got into in a big way. And so basically, me being the big brother at the time, and my little brother being, at the time, he, I believe, is about 3-4 years my younger, so he is not necessarily, at the time, very old. He was about maybe 8 or 9 years old at the time. And so it was a situation for me where, being the big brother, I would split the tokens with him, and we would split the games as a result. Well, in Capcom vs. SNK, you could pick a team of 3 fighters, so what we did is I would pick one character and he would get the other 2, and that was kind of the way we did things, right? So, oh my God. Okay. Please. Let's freaking go! Yes!
Come on, baby.
Come on! Alright. Oh my God. Hey, beautiful. Oh man. That was... Okay, we got one more, right? Sorry, I don't even know where I'm at. Okay. Come on. What are we gonna get? Ah, okay.
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, that's going to make for a good screenshot, though. We got both of them for the first time on one. That's awesome. I was going to say, we were getting the shaft there for a second, but that totally makes up for it. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Now I got to figure out, okay, so we got one of each. I'm trying to keep track mentally on this, so... In fact, I should probably just start having a pad of paper next to me so I can track these things, because now we basically need 7 more copies of King. That's basically what I'm thinking to myself. But anyway, back to the story, because now I don't even remember where I was at, so I'm pretty sure I was talking about kind of the start of how we would split games. So, oh my god. Apparently I'm not going to finish this story.
Nope.
Come on. Ah, okay. Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. I got excited for a second. Okay, well, we'll take another Yuri. That's fine. Okay, so basically, though, he would get 2 characters, I would get 1, and we would split them. So kind of the system that we set up is I would pick my character, and I would go first. I would have the first character in the lineup, and then he would have the second 2. And so my character, as you guys can probably guess, the first character that I really flocked to, the first character that I really gravitated towards was King. And unfortunately, I can't remember exactly why. I know that at the time, I had seen some things about King of Fighters in a magazine at the time. I don't remember which one, because this is, again, back dating myself quite a bit, back when gaming magazines were actually popular and a thing. But I ended up picking King. And from there, it was kind of... I don't even know what to say about it. It was just one of those things that just gelled. I picked her, and I think at the time, it might not have been the first time that we played with the game. It might have been one of the times after. But once we started getting challenged by people, and I started to learn this character and learn how she operated and beat people as we get to our first pity here. I'm losing track as I'm talking here. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna get these out of here. I had a bunch of items in there I didn't even realize I had either. All right. Well, that's 1 pity rotation down. Not too shabby. We got 2 Yuris and a King, so that's not actually that bad. But once I had realized that I was actually low-key pretty good with her, and that my brother was actually... Oh, okay. Man. Okay. Let's, we're gonna pause the story again. Come on. Come on. I was gonna say, what's that? That's not the fast. What do we got? Come on, King. Yes!
Baby.
Okay, that's 2. That's 2. All right, we got 2 down, 6 to go. And another King in there too. Look at that. Awesome. All right. Oh man. Okay. So basically, though, once I realized that I was not only really good with King, but my brother was just absurdly good at the game in general. Yeah, that's when things started to kind of spiral for us at the arcade. People started to catch on because people would basically challenge you, and if they challenged you and they beat you, basically, then the onus was on you to challenge them back and take the game back. Otherwise, they got the game until they lost or quit. And so basically, what would happen is we would go in, and sometimes we would go in on these random days during the week, things like that. My mom would want to go to the mall or whatever back then, and so we would just go to the arcade and play Capcom versus SNK together, and it was a situation where we started to get really, really good and develop a bit of a reputation in the arcade for ourselves as kind of this young duo playing this game that people were like, kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Why is this kid so good? Why are these kids so good? So it was kind of fun. Oh man. Okay. Come on. Come on, baby. Let's go. Come on.
Nope.
Ah, okay. That's fine. That's my 3rd Yuri. We're at 3 Yuris, 2 Kings, for those keeping track at home. So basically, though, once Friday nights started to become a thing for us and we started to really play the game hardcore and get into these tournament settings with all of these different players, things started to kind of get a little bit crazy because my little brother, and I'm not trying to, if he's listening to this, he's probably not going to appreciate I'm sharing this part, but my little brother at the time, he was very small, he had very long hair and very fair features, so people would constantly confuse him for a little girl. And there were times that we would correct people, but there were also times where we would just be like, whatever, just don't say anything. And so people at the time thought that they were getting beaten by this little girl constantly because I had lead off with King, so chances were that I wasn't going to take the entire team and sweep them. So most of the time, my little brother, it was up to him to finish the fight. and his characters were Blanca and Nakaruru. And I think at the time he might have picked a different character in one of the games. I don't remember off the top of my head which one it would have been. He could probably fill in the blanks if he watches this video in the comment section, but you know, those were the two characters I know for a fact in Capcom vs. SNK 2 that he definitely always picked. And so we basically got a reputation with these three characters around the arcade as just being these kids who beat up on all these people. And there were people that would go that would always beat us. You know, there was, in fact, one guy I remember in particular, I forget his name now, it's been so many years, again, I'm old, but he would pick one character, and it was Ryu. And his Ryu was absurd. And yeah, we had a lot of trouble with him. But otherwise, it kind of got to this point where it was basically our life for a long time. And King was the only character I ever picked. She was the only character I ever could say I really mastered in the game. She was the only one I really cared about. Even when I actually got a physical copy of the game for my Dreamcast at home, I never really moved away from that. That was just the character I gravitated towards as a kid. And so, you know, it was a situation for me where I kind of just fell in love with King as a character. I started to get into her lore. I started to get more into Art of Fighting. At the time, I had always been experienced, or at least had played Street Fighter and Fatal Fury and these other games, but I had never really delved into Art of Fighting and King of Fighters until that was kind of my first experience with things. But basically, I had kind of seen, like I said, those ads for King of Fighters in some of these magazines and things like that. So I started to pick up the King of Fighters games shortly after playing the first Capcom vs. SNK. And at that point, it was over. I played every single one of them. I played the Maximum Impact games when those came out as a kid. I played the good ones and the bad ones. I was obsessed. I had been collecting at the time, and I still have some of them. Some of the mangas and things like that at the time, like I've mentioned before here on the channel. Not the dirty kind, but some of like the fan mangas and things like that that you would get off eBay and import in and things like that. So, you know, those were things I would ask for from my parents or whatever, and my parents would always wonder, like, why does he want these books? He can't even read them. But, you know, that was just where I was at with this game, with this franchise, with this character. And, you know, as much as I fell in love with the King of Fighters, as much as I fell in love with the characters in Art of Fighting and so on and so forth that were kind of surrounding King, it was always King that was the one that was the centerpiece for me. So, you know, it's one of those things for me, I guess partially it's nostalgia. It could be partially that. I'm sure there's a big component of that. But it also could be partially due to the fact that, you know, that is a time of my life with my little brother that, you know, he and I really, really enjoyed and we loved. And, you know, unfortunately, it was a situation. That was our second pity, right? Pretty sure it's our second pity. Yeah, that's our second pity. Man, we need to get some Kings here. Need to get some Kings in a big, big way. One thing I did not mention to you guys, I do have a generic memory for SS characters laying around. I'll show you guys my memories, or you might have even seen them when we combined them earlier. But I do have a generic memory in there if you guys didn't catch that. But, you know, nowadays it's one of those things for me. You know, me and my little brother, like I said, he still plays this game as well. We talk about King of Fighters all the time. You know, King of Fighters is something that's never really kind of left our lives. I would say that there was a time when there was a bit of a lull where, you know, there were certain games in the franchise that I didn't play, you know, on the release year or whatever the case may be, as I started to kind of mature and grow up and get into other things and get priorities and so on and so forth. And, you know, video games started to be less of a priority. But King of Fighters was always one of those things that I kept up with. It was always one of those things that, you know, I would go on YouTube and watch videos of to kind of keep up with the franchise and yada, yada, yada. So that kind of brings us, you know, full circle. You know, here we are playing King of Fighters All-Star, and, you know, King is the character I downloaded this game for. When I initially downloaded this game at the time, it was day one, and within that first week, it might have even been on launch day. Again, I can't remember all the nitty-gritty details of when all this stuff synced up. Man, it feels like we haven't gotten anything for a while. But, you know, it's one of those things where I download the game and there was this King dungeon, right? This specific dungeon that was dedicated to King at the time, right? And I had picked King. At the time, you could pick one gold border fighter, and I don't know if you still can. I know now there's so many different options for new players just getting into the game, but at the time, when it first launched, you could pick a gold fighter of your choice, and of course I picked King 94. As we get no more fests in there. There's another King, though. I actually need that King. I'm almost at A5 on that one. So, you know, I downloaded the game expecting to play King in this game, and, you know, King 94 did carry me for quite a while, but unfortunately, suffice it to say, eventually I outgrew her, even though I built her up as much as possible. And I realized very quickly, even though that dungeon existed that was centered around King, which in that dungeon you had to score like 100,000 points, and I think the final goal reward was her 5 PG finisher, you know, the one that nobody uses. But I did it all in like the first 2 days, because I was just trying to grind out this finisher for my King. But, you know, it was one of those things. I downloaded the game for her, and then I realized quickly that she didn't really have a character that was very good in this game. And so I fell in love with this game. I love this game to death, but it was one of those things where I've always wanted this character. I've always wanted to play with my favorite character, and I've never had that ability to do so. I've used every excuse to play with some of the worst or some of the bad versions of her, but at the same time, obviously that doesn't really get you very far. So, you know, it's one of those situations at that point for me where, you know, I just kind of toughed it out. I assumed that eventually this would happen, and yeah, my patience has been rewarded, and it's going to be really weird for me. God, can I get a fess? Good Lord. It's going to be a situation for me where it's going to be really, really weird, right? It's going to be really, really weird for me not to have to worry about a potential Fest King going forward. Like, I've always budgeted and saved with that in the back of my head, and now I'm not going to have to worry about that at all. So yeah, I mean, it's a situation where it's a win-win. Now, obviously, if I continue to get shafted like I am right this second, it's probably not going to happen, and I'm going to have to commit some sins over in the secret shop, but we'll see where it goes. I do not want that to happen at all, please. What do we got? Nothing? Okay, whatever. That's what I figured. So, yeah, guys, that's kind of a brief history. And like I said, I mean, I'm 33 years old, and this is going back when I was a kid. So I'm trying to remember all these things, you know, timeline-wise as best I can. But, you know, it's funny that I'll go through some of boxes of my old stuff, and I still have, like, I have the King of Fighters 99 soundtrack. I have all of these old mangas, like these doujinshi, I think is what they call them, the fan mangas. Have all these things that, you know, obviously can't even read. I've got other things like I've got the King of Fighters, I think it's the 03. I think it's the 03 comic, not the manga, actual comic. I've got that in graphic novel form, in trade form. That's our third pity, right? That's got to be our third pity. I've been talking and not even paying attention to where my mileages are. I think that's our third pity. All right, so this is going to be. How many more kings do we need? We got 3 pity tickets. We've got 2 kings? We've got a generic memory. So basically, I need to get 1 king out of this pity rotation, right? That'll get me to A5. So, let's hope. But I haven't got a fess in forever. Okay. Hey. There we go. Okay. Finally. How long had it been since we got a fess? Good Lord, that was bad. That was over an entire that was an entire pity rotation plus. Oh God, why won't it let me skip this? Can I just skip this? God. Okay, whatever. Moving on. It took me a second. I'm like, is this a gold border character? And then I realized the slow creeping realization. Okay, whatever. So we finally broke our streak, I guess. I guess it's just best we move on. Anyway, so, you know, I guess this is a good time to tackle this one. I've gotten this one a ton. People always ask me, why don't you get angry, like, during your pull videos? Like, when things go bad or whatever the case may be or whatever. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like, I'm not really that guy. Like, I could get on here and I could get all angry and upset, but, like, I don't know, like, so do you guys remember that intro I did a little while back, and I used Ilya Bryzgalov, which he's a Russian-born goaltender that used to play in the NHL, and he's famous for a meme where he goes, "Well, you have to be mad, it's only game." That's kind of how I am, and that's why I love Ilya Bryzgalov, as bad as it sounds. Oh, okay. Come on. I just need 1 more king. Because I can go to this pity and be done, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Come on, baby.
Yes, fucking go! Come on! Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. We need one more. We need one more. We go to this pity. We're done. We should even have a couple thousand rubies left. But yeah, so to summarize basically the story of me and King, the reason why I love King, I think, you know, now as a 33-year-old man, is the fact that looking back on it, honestly, King is just different. You know, you look at all of these different lady fighters and all of these different fighting games, and they're all kind of a cliche. They're all kind of from the same sort of stock backgrounds and backstories, and everybody has to be about the jiggle physics and this, that, or the other thing, and be, you know, wearing clothing that isn't necessarily made for, you know, fighting. And King was completely different. She was a character who had a rich backstory. She was a character that had, you know, a noble cause, even though what she was doing in her initial kind of coming up within the game franchise itself, and, you know, her early beginnings with Mr. Big and the things that she was doing at that time, even though those things were, you know, on the more, you know, bad guy side, if you want to call it that, even though, you know, considering her backstory, she was never really a bad guy, quote unquote. You know, she was just different, and she stood out, and she still does. Oh, okay. Come on. Please give me King. If I get a King here, I'm just done. I'm bowing out, and we're done. Come on. That's not a fast. Ah, okay.
Nope.
Whatever. No big deal. Like I said, we go to pity, we're done. But yeah, she's just different, and she is classy, which I really, really like too. You know, I like classier ladies in general. So, you know, the fact that King had... Oh, okay. Man. They don't want me to finish this story. That's okay, though. If they give me a King, then it don't matter. Come on, let's go. Please be King. Come on. Ah!
Nope.
Man, we are getting a lot of Yuris. I don't even know where we're at. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's basically the reason why I love King. You know, King is a character that I have grown up with. King is a character that I've always loved, and she is what got me into this game, and as a result... Oh! Okay, we're on a roll. Okay, please be King, please be King, please be King, please be King. Come on, we just need one more.
Baby.
Freaking go! Yes! You guys, it's over. We're done. We're done. Unless I am messing up how many of these we've gotten, we're done. We're gonna double check. But I'm pretty sure I have a generic memory. I think I've pulled 4 Kings, and I have 3 pities. Where's my King memories? There's Yuri. Oh, there's King. Okay. 4 Yuris, 3 Kings, generic memories, so that's 4 memories for King, 3 pities. I'm gonna double check how many pity tickets I have, but I think we're done. I'm pretty sure. Yep, we're done. It's over. Guys, we got her. A5, baby, let's go! Yes! Mission accomplished, boys. All right, and we still have 7,700 rubies left over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, okay. Well, you guys, I know that this is already going to be a long video, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and stop here. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I know it's just been me rambling while pulling, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know a lot of people out there enjoy these pull videos, so... But anyway, you guys, like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content. We have an Awakening Level 5 King we're about to showcase, so peace.
Continue. Game